The connection between the first reading and the Gospel is obvious. Both are stories of miraculous healing of leprosy, and both are stories of unexpected characters praising and thanking God for their healing. In the first reading, we have this general, a leader of a raiding party for the neighboring king of Aram. Now, this period is from almost 3,000 years ago, but was written down hundreds of years later. So the words king and commander or general may be a bit misleading. Chieftain and warlord and gang leader may conjure a better sense of who these men were. This was not a time in which there were complex political structures in this part of the world. Egypt, the great empire, only had 1 million people in it, roughly the population of Erie County, New York, today. Israel, Judah, and Aram were much smaller. The Arameans were based in modern-day Syria, and their army was likely a few thousand in total. And much of what is being described as war is not so much one group of trained warriors battling other trained warriors as gangs overrunning border villages, murdering civilians, stealing livestock, food, and luxury goods, and taking survivors as slaves. At times, the Arameans were stronger than the Israelites, and at times the Israelites were stronger than the Arameans. Whoever was in charge would demand tribute from the other. And if it didn't show up, more border villages would be looted and burned until the price was paid. So Naam was not so much a great, virtuous general plotting strategy hundreds of miles from a clearly defined battlefront. He was a gang leader who had led the destruction of the village of this girl who was now a slave in his house. But he has some incurable disease. It is translated as leprosy, but was more likely psoriasis rather than Hansen's disease. But regardless of the modern day diagnosis, it was increasingly debilitating. And so the offer being made to Israel is fix this leader of the controlling gang and have back some of what has been stolen from you, or else face more murders and looting. This is not so much a gift as an intimidation tactic. But Elisha just brushes the whole thing off and tells the powerful gang leader to go take a bath and you'll be cured. After first responding the way one would expect a gang leader to react and threatening to unleash his toughs on the nearest village, Naam eventually does bathe in the Jordan and is healed. Upon being healed, Naam is so grateful that he converts to following the one God. In the Gospel, similarly, we have 10 men, both Jews and Samaritans, living on the border between Jewish Galilee and Samaritan Samaria. All are unclean and outcast and look to one another to survive. They're not even allowed to go into the fields to gather the remnants of the harvest to eat. They need to beg for their food, for their clothes, and for any other basic necessities, but only from a distance because they were, after all, unclean. It is these men who beg Jesus for healing, and Jesus heals them with a single word. The 9 Jews continue on to the priests to be made ritually clean and become part of Jewish society. The Samaritan turns back and gives praise to God and Jesus for his healing. So on the surface, in both stories, we have stories about healing, gratitude, and conversion. An easy moral is that God is acting in our lives, often through low-key ways, and that when we are made whole, we need to give credit to God rather than our own ingenuity and luck. And yes, that is certainly part of the point of these stories. But there's something more here as well. No one is outside God's mercy. God does not offer God's love, healing, and mercy to the virtuous and insiders alone. God offers it to everyone, including those who do not deserve it. This includes not just foreigners like the Samaritan, but even invaders like Naam. And as followers of the one God, We are called not just to give thanks and praise to God for all the good things in our lives, but also we are called to offer love, healing, and mercy to all people. And we are not called to judge whether those around us deserve this love, healing, and mercy. 9 and 10, as with the Jews and the Samaritans of the gospel, may choose to give credit to their own ingenuity, their own wits, and what they deserve. But one may be transformed through this encounter and restored to God's flock. And the transformation of that one soul not only can be critical for their own salvation, but for ours as well. And as the example of Paul shows, even for generations unknown.